Two gentlemen. Pastor Woven pastors the North Columbus Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio, and has just done a phenomenal job there. He used to be the youth pastor here, and so many of the things that we still do here in the Cleveland Baptist Youth Department are things that I'm basically just following his lead over all these decades later, or maybe not decades, but let's just say, let's say at minimum 2 years later. Let me correct that, so centuries ago when he was here, of course. But many of the things that he's put in place, we still do them, just because he's been such an influential figure here at Cleveland Baptist Church. He also is in charge of Awake America in the Ohio chapter, which is an opportunity for independent Baptist churches to be aware of some of the political things that are happening down in Columbus and the broader United States and things along that line, and is instrumental in some of those things. He constantly has his eye on the Capitol there, and he's watching Mr. DeWine for us. We appreciate that. So thank you for that. And also, he's an incredible writer. I don't know if you would know that about him, an incredible Bible preacher and teacher. So we are very honored to have Pastor Woven here today. I'm going to ask you to give him a good, hearty HCS welcome.
Well, thank you. So excited and exuberant about this. You're so thrilled to be back in school. Maybe by Wednesday you'll be excited because I'll be leaving, so that'll be good. All right, here's what I'm planning. Okay, it's 11:17. I'm planning, if I get the time, each opportunity I get to speak, I want to tell some funny stories on some other people in the past, and I want to tell one stupid, idiotic thing that I did while I was on staff here at church, and I've got tons and many, many, many of those that I can tell. So we are going to be looking at basically one big truth here this week. We're going to be looking at the man who made others to sin. So we've got some, I think we've got some things that are going to be able to be on the screen. Let me give a little bit of a background. Back whenever I was youth director, we would go to Franklin Plaza Nursing Home every Wednesday afternoon with the teens. So anybody who was able to, you had to be able to get out of your class, the last two classes on Wednesday, and then we'd wind up getting back just a little bit before teen soul winning that we had on Wednesdays. And so there were a lot of experiences. You figure if you're going to 16 years that I wound up going to Franklin Plaza Nursing Home every single Wednesday, there were lots of things that wound up happening. There was a guy that was there named, forgot his name. I'll think of it now. But he would wind up, he was not all there mentally, and he was a younger guy, and he was really like long-limbed, and he's in the wheelchair. I never saw him out of the wheelchair, but he would like walk in the wheelchair, and and anytime he saw any of our girls, somehow he'd sneak behind them and pinch them on the rear end. And so anytime any of the girls were at nursing home, at some point you heard them go, "Woo!" And I never knew girls were as mean as guys were, because every time a new girl came to Franklin Plaza Nursing Home, they'd go, "Oh, you need to go meet so-and-so." So they'd wind up taking him to his room and, talking to him. Then pretty soon, that happened to us too, So everyone's, now, while I was preaching or Bob Folger was preaching and I did the singing, the teens would go and they'd visit the different places. There was a young person who actually has, I think, a child in this room now who was leading the singing one time, and the resident was in a potty chair, and it didn't have a bottom of it, and plopped right on the ground, and he stopped leading the singing and said, "Did you see that? Did you?" I mean, all kinds of things would wind up happening. And so way back centuries ago, Keith Nolan was in high school, and they wound up giving a organ to the Franklin Plaza Nursing Home that we could use in the dining hall when we would have our services. So, Keith would wind up playing the organ, and this lady asked, they raised her hand one time, and she said, "I'd like to sing the Lord's Prayer." And, I was thinking, I don't really I don't really like that song. Okay, well, we don't have the music for the Lord's Prayer. I put her off like every 4 or 5 weeks now, every week in a row. And finally one day she said, you don't care about us. You just want to sing what you want. This service is supposed to be for us. You really chewed me out, and I thought, well, I feel bad. All right. Next week, whether I remember the music or not, because that's what I was doing. Every single Wednesday, we'd get out of the van and go, I forgot the music for the Lord's Prayer, so Keith could play it. So that Wednesday, we pull up, and the moment I got out of the van, I forgot the music for the Lord's Prayer. And so I thought, well, that's okay. Now, I have a real problem. Well, I have many, but I've got a real problem. My voice, I don't mind being short, ugly, fat, all that stuff, but I can't stand my voice. I don't mind anything else about me, but I hate my voice. And so it's very common. When I was here for 20 years, answer the phone, Cleveland Baptist Church, can I help you? And invariably, once a month, somebody would say, yes, ma'am. So my problem is I would wind up starting songs way too high. And so here it is, I'm leading the congregation song for, 20, 30 residents in this dining room, and we're doing the Lord's Prayer, and I start, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And I'm thinking, I think that's a little bit high. Thy kingdom come, thy will be. And I realized, oh my goodness, I've got this thing so high. And if you know anything about that song, it gets higher and higher. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us. And I mean, people dropped out singing, and they're just looking at me and laughing. The teenagers that were in there were almost on the floor rolling down. And I'm reeling, for thine is, and I keep going to go higher, is the kingdom. I got to go up higher. And the power and the glory. I felt like alfalfa with, my bangs sticking up, and forever. It was terrible. And I'm not telling a lie. That lady never asked to sing the Lord's Prayer ever again. I ruined it on her. So there's a lot of foolish things that you can wind up doing in life, and believe it or not, you're going to be able to live through them. So, all right. Well, let's the guys that I gave a verse to. Let's go to the very next slide, and we're going to be looking here at all week long on the man who made others to sin. So, Josh, how about standing up and reading you 2 verses really good and loud?
Okay. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoaz, to reign over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 16 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, but he walked therein.
See if you recognize any repeated words. All right, Ethan.
For his sins which he sinned, doing evil in the sight of the Lord, and walking in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin which he did, to make Israel to sin.
Sam. Did I get? There you go.
The 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, began Baasha, the son of Ahijah, to reign over all Israel in the Tisra 24 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin.
And Grant.
And will make thine house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, the son of Ahijah, for the provocation wherewith thou hast provoked me to anger and made Israel to sin.
18 times. We're gonna each time we have chapel have another few verses that are read, different ones. 18 times in the Old Testament, God says something to the effect of, like Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin, or who made Israel to sin. Now, I'll tell you, there are times that I repeat things. It's just because I'm getting old and senile. But whenever God repeats things, he's always doing it for purpose, on purpose to emphasize a point. Whenever our kids were little, we'd take them around as 2-year-olds, and you'd take them to the stove. No, 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 no. Hot, 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 hot. No, 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 no. Hot, hot. Now, I didn't just lose my mind. I don't talk that way to everybody. Hello, 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 brother. What's Sam? By the way, this is so awesome. You got to have Siri call him on your phone. Sometimes I call him just to hear Siri when I'll say, please call Wissam El Rabadi on mobile. And Siri says, calling Wissam El Rabadi. It's awesome. It's awesome. You got to hear Wissam El Rabadi, all right? So, Pastor El Rabadi. We repeat things to little children. No, 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 hot, hot, hot. And that's what the Lord's saying. There was this guy, Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin. And we just want to go very quickly. This is going to be the most boring of all 4 of the boring sermons. So, just take about 10 minutes. You have to know some background about Jeroboam. First of all, Jeroboam was selected by Solomon because Solomon looked at him and he saw he's very courageous and he saw that he was industrious. And that word industrious, it comes from two words combined, meaning make and take, both at the same time. We would say, sort of like maybe somebody's got a bad ankle, or maybe somebody's ineligible and you can't play in your basketball game, and so the guy who doesn't usually get in, boom, there he is. All right, take your shot. Make the best of your opportunity to start, and don't let the other guy that you got to guard score 80 on you tonight. So that would be the idea of being ambitious, taking the best opportunity. That's the way Jeroboam was by nature. He was very ambitious. I want to see what I can do. I'm going to make something of myself. It wasn't just a determination. It wasn't just diligence. It was the idea of, I'm going to get better and bigger and more important and have more power. I'm insatiable for my opportunities. And so God chose him to be the next king of Israel when Rehoboam and Jeroboam had this conflict that came about. And so Jeroboam was walking in the field one day, and he's wearing a new suit of clothes, and a prophet came by, ripped his outer clothes off of him, ripped it in 12 pieces and gave him 10, and said, God's going to give you the 10 tribes of Israel, but he's going to let Jerusalem keep 2. A little bit later it came to pass. Here's Rehoboam. Solomon died. So Rehoboam was Solomon's son. Jeroboam is this dude that's very ambitious. And so Rehoboam says, okay, what am I going to do? First 100 days in office, got to make them really important. So he asked the old men, people my age, all right, what should I do? And the old guy said, listen, your dad, he had taxes. He taxed them out the wazoo, man. It's really bad. Lower the taxes and the people will really like you a lot better. And so he said, all right. Then he asked the young men. He said, hey, what do you think I should do? Man, you ought to tell those people, you think my dad was tough. I'm going to make my little pinky heavier than his thigh. That's how strong and how more taxes I'm going to require. So the old men were Republicans and the young men, no, we won't go there. But so here we go. So Rehoboam has to make the decision. He stands up. All right, Israel, you thought my dad was tough. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to be so tough that my little pinky is going to weigh heavier on you with taxes than my dad's thigh. That's how tough I'm going to be. And the people rebelled. And so Jeroboam took the 10 tribes, and they were a kingdom in the north, and Rehoboam had the 2 tribes, and they were a kingdom in the south. So let's go to the next slide. The next one. So here's our text. Okay. Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. All right, look at the next slide. There's what we're looking at here this morning. Jeroboam said in his heart, the self-made person. It's not wrong to work hard. It's not wrong to be diligent. It's not wrong to try to be valedictorian. It's not wrong to try to excel. It's not wrong to try to be the highest point scorer on your team, unless you never pass the ball and you're selfish. But it's not wrong to be ambitious in a Christian way. But Rehoboam was all about me. He was all about me. And so he said in his heart, hey, you know what? These people are going to go back to Jerusalem. They're going to wind up getting used to going to Jerusalem. I'm going to lose the kingdom. Now, stop right there. Wake up! So, would he have lost the kingdom if the people went back to Jerusalem to worship? How many people say yes, he would have lost the kingdom? How many people say no, he would not have lost the kingdom? Oh, come on, none of this. How many people say no, he would not have lost the kingdom? How many people don't have a clue? All right, I won't ask you how many don't care. One of the greatest problems today is ignorance and apathy, and most people don't even know that and they don't even care. So anyway, you'll get it tomorrow. No. God said, you will not lose the kingdom. God said, I'm going to give you a sure kingdom. All right, how many people, somebody told you something, maybe Pastor El Rabidi told you something and you forgot. Maybe your teachers told you something, you forgot. Your coach told you, all right, full court press. You start running back, I forgot. It's easy to forget something, right? Is there a chance that, Jeroboam maybe would have forgotten this? Well, I don't know. If I was walking down the street in a brand new suit and some dude comes up and rips my coat off and rips my tie off and rips my shirt off and cuts it into 12 pieces and gives me back 10, you think I'd probably remember that? Even somebody at my age, I'd remember something like that would happen to me. So it isn't the fact that he did not remember, that later in years he went, oh, that's right. God said he'd watch over me. God said he'd give me a sure house just like David if I just obeyed the Lord. Oh, man, I forgot all about it. That did not happen. What happened was Jeroboam said in his heart, it's up to me and not up to God. That's what this next slide, really, this is the point of today, is. There we go. Jeroboam believed his future depended upon himself and not God. Jeroboam basically said in his heart, if I want to do anything, if I want to go anywhere, I'm going to have to decide to do it. All right, everybody stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Everybody stand up, stand up. All right, too many people sleeping. All right, sit back down. All right, Jeroboam, he wound up saying in his heart, listen, I can't trust God. I've got to do what I need to do, and I've got to make my own way, and so it's all up to me. And he could care less about what God said. Now, I got news for you. Jeroboam is not the only person who thinks that way. And I've been a youth director for many, many years. I've been preaching now for almost 40 years. And there's a lot of teenagers who feel that way. A lot of young adults, a lot of college students, a lot of people 3-4 years out of college. Well, I can't really obey God. I've got to figure out my career for myself. I mean, there's some things that I've got to do. I mean, if I surrender to God, then, I could wind up in Africa somewhere. I can't do that. I can't trust God for my future. I mean, I've got to figure this out on my own. I've had hundreds of conversations with some about your age, the juniors and seniors, and they'd say, hey, Mr. Owen, I'm planning on doing this, or Pastor, I'm planning on doing this. Well, good. What does God want you to do? Well, that doesn't have anything to do with, I'm planning on going to this college and planning to maybe get a law degree or a medical degree or business. What does God want for you? I'm not going to full-time service. I'm not asking that. What does God want you to do? Well, yeah, but see, I've got plans and I've got designs. What does God want you to do? All right, I'll give in. I'll even go to a Christian college and make you happy. But there's some things that I want. I've always wanted, but what does God want you to do? And it's a very common thing for you to go through what we all have gone through if we are Christian young people, is learning to trust God for your future. Amen. That's good. So let's go to the next slide. There's a problem now. Here's some thoughts of the man who ignores God. All right, let's go to Psalm 10. Psalm 10. The first thing I want you to notice here in that slide is that he says, I will never be moved. Psalm 10 and verse number 6. He hath said in his heart. Remember, Jeroboam, he said in his heart, oh man, the people are going to go back to the other kingdom and I'm going to be killed. I better do this thing. So the wicked man says in his heart, verse 6, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. This is what a wicked person thinks. I'm never going to be moved. I'm never going to have real problems. The things that I've been in, it's going to keep going. Listen, this is why COVID has scared to death many unsaved people, because now they're looking at, I may die. Yeah. We know that the statistics don't necessarily bear out many of the fear that began, but people are looking saying, oh, I could die. You're not wearing a mask. You're going to kill me. I mean, that's what they really think and really believe. Hey, maybe some do here. That's fine. I'm not yelling mask or no mask. I'm just looking at, listen, there's some people that they've never been moved before. And now they're looking like, oh no. And it's a common thing for people your age to think, I'm all right. I remember one of our Heritage Christian senior trips. Young lady who had not even gotten to graduate, a month away from graduation, died on a senior trip. I know of 2 or 3 different young people that 2 years after they graduated from Heritage Christian School, they committed suicide. I remember sitting right behind where my wife is on a youth rally with about 800 or 900 people in this room. And at the end of the youth rally, it was announced that one of the guys in our youth department, John Bering, had died. He fell on a hunting trip and shot himself. He's a young man. I don't think even was old enough to have his driver's license. This age group, it's easy for you to think, well, nothing's going to happen to me. I think you may be aware, what was it, maybe 10 years ago, somebody had a real serious accident right here on Tiedemann, either coming or going from school, and a young lady was in the hospital for quite a while. Nothing will happen to me. Yeah, that's the way an ungodly person thinks. I'm okay. No problem with me. I have either participated in or gone to over 2,000 funerals in my life. And a lot of them have been, some of them in little caskets that mom and dad carried out. The ungodly man says, I'll never be moved. Also in verse number 11, he hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. All right, I'll never be moved. Secondly, I'll never be found out. No one's going to know. That's what the unsaved person says in his heart. That's what a wicked individual, whenever he talks to himself, that's what he winds up saying. I'm all right. I'm never going to be found out. No one's going to know. Man, I remember one time, I told you I'd tell some stupid stuff on us. We went on a junior-senior trip to some Bible colleges, and I was a junior in high school, and we had some free time at this one particular Bible college, and so a bunch of us guys were going to go bowling. We got on a city bus, went over to go bowling. The bowling alley was closed, so a movie house was open, so we all went to a movie while we're on a senior trip. Now, it wasn't a dirty movie, you know, but I think it was, what was it? Airport 76 or 77, something like that, you know. But, you know, by today's standards, it's very tame. But after we got done, we all said, hey, we can't tell anybody that we went to a movie on a junior senior trip. Bob Folger will kill us. And so no one said a word except one idiot who was dating the principal's daughter, and he told her when we got back. What a stupid idiot. So, you know, that was like Tuesday. The next Monday rolls around, and we're going out to the garage for auto mechanics class, and somebody says,